This is Dave of Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast, and you're listening to Pods Like Us with Marv.
Oh, that's because he's muted.
Nobody wants to join and play. Oh, it's too early for those on the West Coast. That's what it is.
Right? Yeah, because it's like 6 a.m. there.
I know. Gil's probably got another 2 hours sleep yet.
Yeah, or at least one before he wakes up, does stuff, and goes back to sleep. I know, because one time I think, because I did a 9 o'clock with a guy over in California.
Yep.
And after I found out he was like in California, I'm like, you sure you want? He's like, oh yeah, man, I want to have you on the podcast. So this is great. I'll do it and I'll just go back to bed. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was for a show called Alone on the Couch.
Right.
So him.
So you guested on their show then?
Yeah. Just shortly after I, said I was going to do a little mid-season break, he's like, hey man, I want to get you on here. Apparently he was really inspired by all the stuff I had done, and he picked up a couple of his pieces of gear because of tuning in and listening to my reviews on the podcast.
Yeah. I should stop putting my arm like that because I'm giving away that I'm sat on the sofa.
Right. I've just got yoga. I'm just doing
yoga. Yep. I won't do the downward, whatever it's called.
The down dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put a nice news item up on my feed earlier on. On the news, on the radio, they were talking about this dog, a sheepdog, had lost its hearing, and so it was no use to the farmer that it worked for. So the farmer gave it to the RSPCA, who have trained it how to read sign language.
Wow.
So the dog now responds to sign language.
That is cool.
Speak louder if you like.
Don't know what RSPCA is.
They do, because I think they've got an American version of them over there. Yeah, but I forgot what it's called now. ASPCA in America. I think it is.
Oh, ASPCA, yep.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah. The only reason why I know of the ASPCA is because of an old song, They're Coming to Take Me Away.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Ask him a question out of the hat.
Yeah,
All right. If you like, go on then. Okay. And Louise is going to ask us a question.
What is your ideal holiday destination?
My ideal holiday destination would be going back to Costa Rica. Cartago, Costa Rica.
I'd like to go there for the sloth sanctuary.
My ideal would be the American road trip that I've been meaning to do for years, from east to west. That is my ideal holiday destination. In a camper van.
I want to see the sloth sanctuary at Costa Rica.
Yeah, I'd love to see that as well. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll just move the microphone closer to Louise for Louise to say that one. Hold on.
Sure. I'd like to see the sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica.
Yeah, that is one thing I didn't get a chance to see when I was there last time. I went through a nice little 7 mile nature preserve hike. That was very nice.
Okay.
And my wife grew up there, 15 years spent in Cartago. From where she lived, you could see the coast, you could see you could see the beach, and the other way you could see the Leg Haynes Bali factory, where they did all the Haynes production.
Splitter. Get that. I'll plug that in and get your headphones, and I can plug you into the headphone socket, darling. Right, let's see if you can hear Dave.
Check.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Hey, you have found Dave.
Yes,
David.
we are there. It's quieter for me than it is for you, I'm guessing. Strange.
Oh, a splitter?
The better quality splitter is actually in the bedroom.
I can hear fine.
Yep, you can. So let's ask me, I'll ask both of you now. What is your favourite television show of all time?
Favorite television show of all time?
Brought to you by Dead Air.
Actually, that's a loaded one. I mean, what is a television show that I would go back and watch when I could, if I could, any time?
I like CSI and Criminal Minds.
Both excellent shows. My wife and daughter have watched every episode of both. Very well done. Yeah, CSI would definitely be up there for me as well.
The only thing with CSI, unlike Criminal Minds, no streaming service in the UK has got it.
Yeah. Wow.
But it is coming back later this year. CSI.
Nice. Yeah, it goes in and out like that, doesn't it?
Yep.
We were watching an old show on NBC on their app called The Invisible Man. That was like a 90s takeoff of The Invisible Man. It was a spin on it with when CGI was getting big and everything, and they were doing this really cool stuff with what they called Quicksilver, which was whatever experimental hormone he was able to secrete to become invisible. They figured it all out. But anyhow, my favorite TV show of all time, honestly, if I had to pick just one, it would be The Prisoner, Patrick McGowan.
Fantastic.
That would have to be the one that I could go back and watch anytime. Not far behind that would be the short-lived miniseries, The Lost Room.
Okay. Yep. I've not seen that, but I have heard good things about that.
Is that the one Peter Krause?
Peter Krause,
Yes.
The Lost Room. Yes. Yep.
Got
Yep.
that on the list.
Yeah, that's on your list on the
Watch
is that on
list.
Netflix
Think
watch
so.
list or something for you?
So.
Yep.
I would have loved to have seen that expanded, and it was always would have loved to have seen them do something where you got to see like a digital version of the room with all the artifacts in it, so you could see what all the artifacts were. Kind of explored it, since it's kind of a one and done.
I'm going to be very boring, and everybody will know this and obvious, but my favourite show of all time would be the original series of Star Trek.
That's fair. That's definitely my top 5.
Yep.
I used to get up at 6 a.m. to watch it on CBS when I was a kid. So that's when it was on.
We had it on BBC Two in the UK at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
And that would have been repeats in the late 70s, early 80s.
Hey, it's Gil from the Mind Podcast. Today's mind culture and social podcast. And you're listening to Pods Like Us.
So in the late 70s and early 80s, it was probably, my television was a mix of Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, and Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Yeah, Buck. I like the first season of Buck Rogers. The second season, they tried to go Star Trek, and it just didn't work. New
Absolutely.
writers.
They should have stayed on Earth.
Yep, I agree. Or, they could have done some things out, and maybe done a more incorporation. It's kind of like with Enterprise from Star Trek.
Yep.
The idea was good for the first season, but the worst thing about Star Trek Enterprise was it was all on the ship. So it made it very boring because during that time, this is when the Earth Vulcan, their relationship was still in formative years with Enterprise, and they didn't explore it at all. I mean, it's totally a side thing that they could have been doing. They could have gone back to Earth and explored that tension as they pulled two completely different races together while doing the exploration at the same time. I think that would have made the first season a little more exciting for me. Definitely my top three. It would have to be, and it's probably because of how it came across in the U.S., but that would be the fourth generation, the Tom Baker years of Doctor Who.
Yes, I remember watching those as well when I was younger. And I almost forgot.
Still got the
I watched The Incredible Hulk, of course, with Bill Bixby.
Oh, yeah. Yes. The Incredible Hulk. I have the trial of The Incredible Hulk on a disc somewhere in the house. Kids used to enjoy that one.
Is that the one with Thor in it?
Yeah, with Thor and Daredevil, when he was just wearing basically black leotards and a bandana. That was it.
For those that are younger than us, that was our time's version of the MCU.
Yes. Yes, that's when Thor was kind of like He-Man. Prince Adam would raise his sword and say, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power," and change it to He-Man. The guy who would summon Thor by raising Mjolnir and summoning Thor. Although I think Thor was still a distinct, separate person from the guy who had control over him or whatever. It was interesting. It was supposed to be a spin-off for a new show that never happened. I know that much.
Yes. Oh, you're pulling another question out. Oh, Louise's turn. Dave's going to have to ask a question soon.
Oh, this is a good one. If you had the power to change one thing about the world, what would it be?
That would have been a perfect question if Gil was on the show.
Oh, interesting. Why would you say that?
Just that Gil's one of those that likes to think about all these things, and he's always got an opinion on everything. Gil has.
Got it. That's fair. That's fair. One thing to change about the world.
That is a tricky question.
Yeah. Every answer on that could have the potential butterfly effect. But
yes, it does. Because if you went with the treat everybody as equals, then that causes arguments with those people that are against those things.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, from pollution to crime to war to racism, terrorism. And I guess it's, what are things that we could control versus things that would just be changed, like, climate change. Would you not have climate change? But climate change is a natural, depending on who you talk to, is a natural part of the way the Earth itself works with plate tectonics. It's like we used to have a bumper sticker that you got if you were one of the higher grading students in college for the science class, and that was you could earn the bumper sticker "Stop Global Plate Tectonics."
Right. Okay.
Which
Let's do with earthquakes.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's the natural movement that is on the below the Earth's crust, below all the waters. It continually happens at a very, very slow rate, but it continues to change ever so little.
They don't want to mess with natural things.
It's been happening for centuries. That has, because if you look into history, they say that some countries and continents used to be joined, and then because of the tectonic plates, that's why they're now separated. Is because these things have happened over centuries and hundreds and thousands of years. Yeah.
Yep, and of course, as those plates have moved, parts around the continents have eroded some slowly, forming what we now see as the different continents.
There you go.
So yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, it would really be hard to want to only change one thing about the world.
Pods like us, ultimate edutainment.
My dude had a pirate radio show here in town at one point, and every now and then, just randomly, it would pop up with some. I can't even remember what the phrase was. I don't know if it had something to do with his show, but it'd just be his female voice, and it'd be like a 5-second blurb, and they'd be back to whatever. You're like, what was that? But it would happen. It was like, I don't know if he was using trialware or something where it had to like watermark what he was doing every so often. Kind of funny. Yeah. I really don't know, because there's always the, get rid of nukes, but you get rid of nukes, you still have guns. You get rid of guns, you still have knives. You get rid of knives, you still have stones. You get rid of stones, you still have cars. I mean, there's always something that replaces. Unfortunately, it could replace whatever you're would like to get rid of on that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd say, if you want everybody to have kindness and understanding, understand everybody else's plight, that would be one thing. But, again, like you said, you have people that rail against it. It's like, if you gave everybody in the world $1 million, it would only take 5 to 7 days for it all to go back to where it was.
Yes. If you gave everybody that, then inflation would go up and people would end up having to spend more on items anyway.
Yep. And then you'd have the whole round where the people who had, if they had that money at one point, they'd have it again, and those who didn't wouldn't. It's like I was on a group on Facebook that does vintage video games, and this game that in the US might go normally, because it's a little bit more rare, would normally go in box, in its original content box for $150.
Yeah.
Went for $1,300 like 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And everyone's like, holy cow, why? I'm like, well, it's real easy to me. Here in the States, everybody just got a check. They just got supplemental income money because of relief from COVID.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, that's real easy. One person just doubled their COVID income check, and somebody else decided it was worth spending theirs to finally have this item. That's all that happened. But one person thought the item was worth more than his check, and the other person thought it was better to have twice the amount of money. So it worked out.
Hey, this is Brian with Concerts That Made Us podcast, and you're listening to Pods Like Us, a great show about other great shows.
So, Louise, what is the one thing that you would change to make the world better? Microphone to you.
I think I agree with Dave. There isn't one thing, and definitely shouldn't mess with nature. Things that are supposed to be, the way they are. So I've written myself a really difficult question, really. I think the environment and crime, and just for people to be nicer to each other and kinder, and just things like that, just make the world better.
There we go. Gil came out with an interesting point, actually, about gun crime and things like that last week when we were talking on his show. Okay. And he said that it will always be the case that one person will have one certain gun, like one person will have a pistol, and the next person will say, well, you've got a pistol, I've got a rifle, and then the next person's got a machine gun, and everybody's always got to be one up on each other. And he said, "But it's always been that way from the dawn of time." He said, because back in olden days, you would have had someone with a knife, then somebody would come and they've got a sword, then the next person would come and they've got a bigger sword, and he'd say, that's just the way that some people are with these things.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we ended up with every country having nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
What's the deadliest thing that we can all have that hopefully would dissuade anybody from wanting to attack? So it went to missiles, and the hydrogen bomb was made, and that devastation totally changed the face of the world and the face of war.
I mean, really, that's almost like a face-off situation, because essentially nobody will actually fire the missiles.
Nope.
In a way, because they'd be worried, because the other country, while your missiles are on the way over there, they'll send theirs over to you.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
Exactly. And then there's going to be retaliation from possibly from partnering countries as well. Let's say, let's strike and make sure that they don't get anything else off the ground.
And all these countries know that as well. They know that if they do that, then they will retaliate during the time that it takes for that to happen. So, nobody will do it anyway.
Nope. But it's amazing how much money we still spend on all of that stuff.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, you got another question? Oh, Louise says, "Can you cook?" Yes, he can.
I do all right. Can I cook? Let's see. I am the person in the house who does the majority of the dinners. So I do anything from hamburgers to fajita nights to stir fries, steaks, whatever, all the sides to come with that normally someone would have with any of those meals. Yep. And the only thing that limits what I cook is what my kids will eat at this point, meaning mainly my youngest. But she's not a big seafood person. So on seafood night, she usually gets her tortellini or spaghetti, or I'll do some kind of a chicken dish for her.
Dave's talking about the future replacement for him on Live Life Loud.
Yes. In training, if she ever wants to, or whenever she wants to come back and do another round. My youngest, Serena. So I try to get her in videos and stuff, and just, she was amazing. Anybody else even wanted to listen to her show. I'm like, no, I've already gotten, a few people come back and say that they really enjoyed listening to that one.
I was about to actually ask how that went over.
Yeah, it did really good. It also came up against the part that it was called mid-season break, so it really didn't have her name in it or anything, but her pictures on it, and it's done quite well. I think it's had a couple dozen plays, more than that. Yeah. So it was actually a good rebound after having a little dip in listeners, which I figured would happen just because of the time of year.
Okay. I thought because of lockdowns all over, that podcasts would be listened to more for the duration, actually.
Yeah, you get that thought. It didn't quite happen, as much, at least not in the numbers that I've seen. It kind of took a little roller coaster, but and that's when I started thinking about, what other contents, or how do I want other ways to express the content? Because I just, I don't have a whole lot to base mine on other than other shows with completely different topics. And again, it depends, I guess, on what topic you're going for as to what people will do. It's like Xander and Stone, who we both know. People are always drawn to stuff about the paranormal and the unexplainable and the fringe science stuff. So that always seems to pull a great audience, an easy audience. And it sounds like from the way that their chemistry works together, being two people, and just the way that they deliver the content, that it's really done quite well for them.
Yes, it has. Yeah. And they are everywhere as well. They're all over the place, aren't they, on the internet? Pardon?
Posted pictures I like.
Yes, you watch. You like watching ghost adventure programs and
Ghost
things like
adventures.
ghost.
What's
Ghost
huge?
hunters and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I got a free subscription to a thing called Discovery Plus.
Yep.
And on Discovery Plus, there's like at least half a dozen ghost shows.
I wish we could get a free subscription to that because we like what's on there. But yeah. I mean, even the Osbournes have got in on the act of the ghost hunting.
Which ones?
You know, Ozzy and
Okay.
Jack and Sharon, haven't they?
There.
They do a show called The Osbournes Want to Believe,
Nice.
which big plug here. But I chatted with the other day one of the producers of that show because he actually does the show full cast and crew. That podcast. He is actually one of the producers of that Osbournes show. So.
Not a bad show to be a part of. I mean, anything that has them attached is going to get a decent amount of viewership just because of Ozzy and Sharon now.
Yes. Yeah.
Wasn't she on didn't she do like she did another reality show. I'm trying to think of what it was. I think she did like the Boss or something like that.
The X Factor.
Is that what she did? The X Factor?
Yes. I'm trying to do voices like Dave now, but it's not working.
Well, one, I just had one cup of coffee and only one. Two, I've worked on this voice ever since I first heard that guy in the theaters, and now that, and you've got the ring announcers who always get that, and now it's time, and all that stuff. So it's all stuff I've mimicked since I was a kid. I used to do a lot of voices like that, so it's kind of a part.
I think he needs to listen to that show or watch that show with the chap who does the what's it called? Where they break into those units and they have to
Storage Wars.
Storage Wars. Yes, there you go. So then you can learn how to do the quick talk. He's going 50, you're going 50, you're going 75, you're going this, you're going that, go down. Yeah, you. Sold.
Yeah, right. Somewhere between that and the announcers for the old hee-haws.
Yep. Go on then. What do they do then, Dave? Come.
Yeah, the barn dances. Yeah, I can't do it. Just saying, those are two that just are beyond my scope at the moment.
Oh dear! I nearly got him to try.
The last voice that I did was the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, Ben Kingsley.
Yes.
I love. Yeah, I did that and annoyed my wife for a weekend until she told me to stop.
And now you're going to get the real Mandarin in one of the future Marvel films.
So they're saying. I would have liked it to have been a reprise of Ben Kingsley and for him to be the dark horse all along. But they try to explain it away with the guy who became Stark's enemy as being the Mandarin at the end. The quick throwaway line, "I'm the real Mandarin," blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, now that they've got Phase 4 coming up and they're exploring the multiverse now. They've already explored different times, so now they're going to explore the multiverse in that as well. So that will be interesting.
What is your favorite time of the year?
Oh, that's easy. My favorite time of year is the fall.
Yep.
I love fall weather. I enjoy this time of year. I enjoy the rain, but I enjoy a good fall rain. I think even better than a spring rain. There's something about it, and the consistency of the temperature around then stays right around the high 60s, low 70s. You just got a nice wind. For whatever reason, the fall has really been a very enjoyable time of year for me.
For those in the UK, we call that autumn. Hence the song Autumn Leaves. That's also my favourite season as well.
Mine.
Louise,
Autumn, winter, yeah.
Yep, autumn, winter for Louise, yep.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like hot weather.
We do this in the future. I'm going to connect it to your laptop so we can be on 3 different microphones.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it never hurts to have it.
Oh. And somehow or another, we're going to do the introduction at the end when we're finished.
It's always a good ploy. Oh my god! Yeah, it's like a lot of times when I do do interviews with people, it's usually about the middle of the interview that becomes the first part. And the first part either becomes the middle or it becomes the end, just depending on how it worked out. But a lot of times, by then, you just get a really good roll going with what's happening, and the stuff is repeated from what was in the beginning. Then I just roll that into later on, or edit it back into that part. Just depends on how the flow is going of the conversation.
Either that or just do the same as I did that time when I did the chat with you and Gil, where I just announced halfway through the show, oh, by the way, you're listening to me, Dave and Gil.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like I was watching a show with my daughter that did that. Good Omens.
Yep.
With David Tennant.
Yes.
And it was like the third or fourth episode that it wasn't until literally halfway through that they finally rolled the intro credits.
Yeah, we noticed that as well, didn't we?
She's like, I don't think they ever showed the intro. I'm like, oh, they will. It's probably just going to come towards the middle. And sure enough, it did. I'm like, it's just a longer introduction.
If it was on the television, it would have been after the second ad breaks.
Yes. Yeah, imagine if they did that in a movie. I mean, the James Bond is as close as it's ever gotten with what slowly became a 15 to 20 minute introduction before they'd roll the credits.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
The introduction to Die Another Day is better than the actual film.
Can't fault that.
What's
yeah,
that?
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I still thought that was hilarious about, was it the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, when he apparently went to the royal premiere of Die Another Day, and Madonna was there, and she said, "Oh, I've made the song. I did the song for the film," and then Prince Philip said, "Oh, should I have brought my earplugs?" Didn't mince his words, that chap, did he?
Yeah, she was Verity, a fencing trainer. Yeah, she got to say like one line, and that was it. In and out. That's a true cameo right there.
To go off on a tangent, I think the best thing that she's ever done acting-wise is probably A League of Their Own.
Yes, I would agree with that. Which brings us full circle, actually, to Tom Hanks.
Indeed, yes, who was the coach in A League of Their Own.
Yep.
Have you seen that film yet, Louise? A League of Their Own.
Yes, once, I think.
What did you think?
Okay. I've seen 12. Is it 12 Men Out?
No, 9. Is it 9 Men Out? Is it? John
Cusack.
Yeah.
Oh, but you can't beat Field of Dreams.
If you make a podcast, they will come.
Right. That's at least what 700,000 people thought in 2020.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
Podcasting globally rose from 900,000 to 1.6 million during 2020.
Dave, the Wikipedia.
The Davepedia.
And it was 8 Men Out was the one you're thinking.
That's the one. Yes. Thank you.
Charlie Sheen is in that too, if I remember. Pretty low key in that movie.
Yes. And not the only film that he's been in that's baseball based.
Right? Major League.
Major League. Yep.
What are you thinking of?
Yep. That is the one I was thinking of. Yep. But what other baseball films? What is your favorite baseball film, Dave?
Oh. I don't know that I have a favorite baseball film. I'd probably go right back to A League of Their Own at this point, because that's like the only one that I ever watched with much interest. I mean, Major League was fun. It was campy. That was everyone was doing the campy movies then. Major League, was it? Val Kilmer was in a spy movie, a funny spy movie at that point too, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Top Secret or something like that.
That's the one. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the campy years.
Which is already featured on the podcast Spy Hards, who've also been on this show. I'm doing a lot of self-advertising here.
Hey, yeah, get it in. People need to find out where they can find you.
Separation.
Yes, 6 degrees of separation, just like the Kevin Bacon thing, isn't it? Yeah. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, I think they call it.
Yes, that is it. The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There was somebody else that I totally just skipped the name on that I figured by now has to be at 5 degrees, and I can't remember who that was. But there was somebody that I think is closer now than even Kevin Bacon when it comes to degrees of separation. I don't remember who that was. Oh, well, it'll come back.
William Shatner.
Or James Spader, who, of course, played by Shatner. But James Spader with his, because he's been in the Marvel universe now. Blacklist touched a lot of people that were also in the DC universe.
Yep.
Of course, Stargate.
Yep.
And,
better film than people think it is.
Oh, yeah. Stargate was excellent. I think that was one of the best original sci-fis in a long time. And then you've got
the only reason why I think people put down Stargate is because they made the series. If they hadn't made the series, then I think the film would get a lot more like.
Yeah, the SG-1.
Yeah.
Everyone found out that MacGyver could actually play a serious role.
That's right. You didn't have to keep building things.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he took over the part that was Kurt Russell's in the movie. There we go.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell.
MacGyver, the man who can make a tank.
Look what I could do with a cotton bud.
Out of kitchen utensils.
Oh, yeah.
Things to do with a cotton bud.
It's long enough to have a parody person made of yourself with MacGruber. I mean, there you go.
You know you've made it when somebody does a good parody of you that's, catches the zeitgeist, as they call it.
Exactly. So, yeah. But, yeah, spinning James Spader back to William Shatner, they were together in Boston Legal for all those years.
They were, yeah.
And that was a spin-off from the previous show that was done by the same writer, The Practice.
The Practice.
That's where James Spader's character for Boston Legal first appeared, was The Practice, which was a legal drama done also by David R. Kelly, or David E. Kelly, excuse me. Yep. And
the man behind Ally McBeal.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the lead actor was in that. He was a good actor. I really liked him in that show. And for some reason, his name has just totally escaped me.
He's the man behind that new show with Kaylee Cuoco in it.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Wasn't
Dylan McDermott was the name I was trying to think of.
Yes.
I was just going to say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dylan McDermott.
Can't really remember that.
Yeah. Oh, good times. Good times.
Hey there, this is Bobby with the Rock Guys Podcast, and you are listening to Marv Smooth on the Pods Like Us podcast. Check him out.
Oh, what is the first thing you would do if you won the lottery?
First thing I do if I won the lottery would be to pay off my house.
Yep.
Get my house all taken care of, get that all done. Set up a college fund for my youngest. And, if either of my two oldest wanted to go back to continuing college, I would do that as well. And then immediately after that, I would find a rock solid investment opportunity for at least half of it, depending on how much it was.
Along similar lines, first thing I would do is to buy a house.
I'd buy my own bakery.
Very nice.
And a Louis Vuitton handbag.
And a Louis Vuitton handbag. Of course you would. Yes.
Well, like anything else, you have to keep it well enough, and it'll just be worth twice as much in about 5 years. My goodness.
And then you could buy a house with that.
Yes. Buy another bakery.
Yeah, see, yeah,
A
exactly.
franchise.
Start a franchise. Yeah, you would.
See, there you go. You just buy half a dozen Louis Vuitton handbags, sit on them for 10 years, and then I'll trade you for your bakery. About what would happen.
Oh, dear.
You are listening to Pods Like Us with Martin Quibell, Dave Belknap, and Louise Thirlby, by the way.
This is the general chat session. Welcome.
Yes, this is a between seasons episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just for me. It is. I mean,
'Cause I'm on a break from after Sunday.
oh, right. Good for you. Yeah, I went on. Yeah, like I said, Sweet 16 2 weeks ago was mid-season break here. You know, part of it came about because I wanted to get some time in to do some other things. It was also spring break for my family, and last but not least, it was also just a good point because I had tried to get a couple people on for interviews, and it just was not happening. So I'm like, well, you know, I'm running out of other people, and it seems like it does really well when I have at least some sort of other interview on or another person on with me. Those episodes tend to trend better than with just me, myself, and I at the moment. So the exception to that being the pilot episode, which, you know, I think people listen to it just because it is the pilot episode. And one of these days I'm going to go back and I am going to remaster it, redo all the leveling and everything on it, just to make it sound a little bit nicer, cleaner and everything now that I've been at this for a bit.
You might damage your numbers, though, in that, because I know when I've done that, I've gone back and changed an episode. I've actually lost the numbers that I'd got for downloads in the process.
Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll just do it as a redux.
Yep.
Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I know, because I had to reload content for one of my episodes. It made it up, and the wrong cut made it in for half of it, and my voice was not there. Everybody else was in the podcast, but you just hear space, and you hear the guest talking. Like, oh, that's not good. But what else? Yeah. So taking this time, I've got actually a couple other people that have gotten in contact with me that want to be on the podcast. So I'm setting up times to get them on. One of the more interesting ones is somebody who actually does a lot of stuff as a makeup artist, of all things.
Okay.
So
Nice.
she works in the industry as a makeup artist, and she has gone, and she fits really well into the idea of the podcast of Live Life Loud because of everything she's gone through, from losing a husband to disease to a child in a similar fashion where they passed before their time, and just some of the hardships and everything that she's overcome to continue doing what she's doing. So I'm excited to have her story be available for people to be inspired by and to keep moving forward in life. But also, just before I come back from break, so my break's going to be about 2 months.
Right.
And in May, I am going to go to a professional voiceover class.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's fun because it's at a place where I actually know a lot of the people, and some people I used to work with at my former job actually work for that company now. It's a great company to work for. The only downside is you have to move to work for them. I just can't do that.
No.
So it doesn't work for my family for that to happen. It's like I'm certain that something will come along that'll be just fine, where that won't be an issue.
Me and Louise would love it if there was such a thing as a course in Foley work. That would be fascinating.
Yeah, Foley work is fun. I actually had to do that for my degree in graphic design, of all things.
Graphic design, how does that work then? Wouldn't that be sound design as opposed to graphic design?
That's what you'd think, but yeah, that was part of my course. Was actually sound design.
Okay.
I worked. It was through Full Sail University, and they're primarily known for being a sound design or sound production university.
Yep.
And one of the classes was sound design. So they gave me a 20 or 30-second video.
Yep.
It was a little animation, and my job was to find, create, place all of the sound, including a little background score for it. So it's a little 8-bit, looks like a little 8-bit digital cartoon, and I did all of the sound editing for it. So getting all the jumps in the right places and everything, bouncing them around. I think part of that came out too because as part of the course, I had Adobe Creative Suite as part of what I was learning, and that was one of the programs was in there. Premiere? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was done in Premiere. So I did all the sound stuff in Premiere and edited in with all the lock points and all that. It was a lot of fun for me.
Absolutely. I think the voiceover work will be very useful for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I felt as well. A lot of people already told me I have a great face for radio. So I figured I'd keep going on with that. Move along and just see where I can improve on that, especially when it comes again back to the podcast and other ventures and opportunities. If I could ever find an easy way into radio, I would be happy to do that. But these days, to get into radio, you have to be able to do a good stretch of what do they call it? Not apprenticeship. Basically, you have to be able to work. You have to be willing to work for free or next to free.
Yeah,
for at least a year. Intern.
You might get more work from it anyway, because I know Xander from Xander and Stone. Actually, I probably don't know. Yeah, because he mentioned it in his show, so I can get away with this. He is doing a voice for a new audio drama podcast that the person who does The Night's End, he's doing one of the voices for that new show that the chap from Night's End's doing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the kind of stuff I'd like to do.
He's doing the voice of a butler.
Voice of a butler.
Yes.
James. Yes, sir. Get me my coat. Right away, sir.
There you go. Hopefully people are going to listen to this and they're going to hire you now, Dave. You're there. You've made it. All these years.
All these years they're going to be like, what is this? I don't know. What is that guy doing over there anyway? He's so strange. It's all of a sudden pops into a different voice like that. Some weirdo. Must be American.
The modern day Mel Blanc.
Yeah, Mel Blanc. Rich Little. Rich Little was but he did more voice impersonations, not just off the cuff. Gosh, there was a guy that I saw that just did some amazing voices. But anyhow, now we're definitely spiraling down the rabbit hole there. Well, I guess this whole thing is kind of a rabbit hole in all thoughts of it, since it's you and I.
Nobody turned up.
Nobody turned up, so we're just cutting a lot of stuff that can be used here, there, everywhere. I mean, it can be used as one show. It can be used to enhance other shows. Just never know it's going to pop up.
Dave's recording it as well, so he'll probably end up using it for one of his shows.
Yeah. One of my shows, use it for ads, whatever. Maybe a little bit of all of the above.
The Decibolic Podcast, presented by Dave.
Yes. One of these days, I want to do an episode that's just ahs and ums. All the ahs and all the ums that I've cut out of every other show. Well, I did one episode where I literally cut about 70 out of 20 minutes. Felt like.
I cut an entire hour of our show for this week's that's just gone out yesterday. And there's just lots of me and you going, where's Gil? Where's Gil? Where's Gil at? Is Gil going to turn up or what? I think there's about half an hour of that, and I'm just thinking of just putting that out as its own, and then I might, as a merchandise thing, bring out a book where instead of Where's Waldo, it's Where's Gil.
And now that segment that you've been waiting for on today's episode of Pods Like Us. Where's Gil?
But yeah, I think I think I could probably make about 30 to 40 minutes of just us saying, "Where's Gil? Is he showing up or what?" And all that. It's so much.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I'm just there listening to it all, and I'm going, "Are we actually going to talk about anything here, or are we just going to keep asking each other about Gil?"
Yeah, that's the one that I cut our conversation from.
It is, yeah.
Or where Live Life Loud met Pods Like Us. I think I just called the episode Pods Like Us. Dry and easy, and then I did a link to your show from there inside the metadata. So if anyone clicked on the name Pods Like Us in the descriptions, it would go through. Yep. Oh yeah, 5 unique listeners in the last 7 days. I'm definitely on break. Cool.
You are. I'll find that out after next week. Yes.
I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur.
And we're from the Spy Hards Movie Podcast.
That's right. And you are listening to Pods Like Us, the podcast that has a license to thrill.
At least I've already got a couple of shows recorded for the next season.
Oh, that's good. You've got them like recorded or like edited and ready to go, or
not edited, but I've got them recorded. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I've got my side of From Alone on the Couch done. I'm gonna put that out at the next turn. I think I've got some stuff from Gil that I just found too that actually could work out to be a single episode. Gil and myself from when I was on his show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the funniest thing, I'm just looking at the log now, is that the Trio of Pods episode is the shortest episode in my entire book of episodes. Just over 19 minutes.
Which is surprising how long that we talked for.
Yeah, but I think part of that came up because it only has 2 segments. I didn't do a third segment in it. So that was about 5 minutes right there. So the majority of that is us. Yeah, I think that was the one right after technical difficulties when I was having all that wonderful time just trying to get a new machine that worked. And I spent about a week getting one ready, and then I found issues with it. Yeah, it was a low point. But yeah, our show was 27 minutes long. Put that out at the beginning of March.
So Dave's version of that was 27 minutes, and the version I put out of the same footage was about 2 hours and 20 minutes.
All right.
For anybody listening, it started at nearly 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Ours went down to that because it was the interview that I took with you at the very end. That's all that I published off of that.
Yeah, that's fine. There's none of that on the show that's come out this weekend. That bit.
Oh. So yeah, you can. Yeah, that is episode 12 on my list.
Yep.
So for anybody who wants to check out and get to know more about Marv himself, you can check out episode 12 of Live Life Loud, Decibolic Podcast.
Yep. You can listen to me mentioning that I can't remember any of the bands that recorded that I did any tape ops for in the studio.
But it was a last minute thing. It's not like we did it. We didn't have a script or anything like what normally we'd put out for something like that. It was kind of the wrap up. It's like, well, we've got time, so let's do it.
Basically, we were just there chatting, and Dave said, "I'll tell you what, I'll ask you some questions now, and I'll make a show from it."
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, dude. Boom, boom.
Yep.
In and out.
Absolutely. What's the worst thing you've ever eaten? For me, that would be lye cheese. I think they are
tahini,
awful.
I made you try.
The worst thing I think I ever ate, in all honesty, that my mom used to try and make was liver.
Okay.
I used to eat liver.
Never a fan of that. Fortunately, I had a dog at that time in my life. Let's see. The worst experience I ever had eating anything was when my mom was so excited to tell me that the side that we were having with our meal that night was bird's eye. I didn't know what bird's eye was. It was a brand name.
It's a brand name, yes.
Yeah. And
seafood.
and there were these little onions in it, little baby onions that were round, and I thought they were bird eyes.
Oh dear.
Literally bird's eye meal.
Yes,
So
a
I
literal
literally thought
bird's
that
eye
she
meal.
made bird's eye, and I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, so imagine a 5-year-old thinking that mom's trying to feed him bird's eye.
Scarred for life by a frozen meal.
Yeah, not understanding at all what that was, and just
No.
yeah. So there's that. That's the worst experience I've ever had.
I wonder if Indiana Jones's worst experience would be those monkey brains.
Right, chilled monkey brains.
Yes, from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Go on then, Louise. You've got to answer it as well. What's the worst thing you've ever eaten?
I don't like rhubarb and gooseberries. Anything bitter.
Well, that's understandable. I'm not a big fan of rhubarb either. My grandmother used to make strawberry rhubarb pie, and I'm like, why did you ruin it with rhubarb? Understand that.
Although once we actually were given something.
Rhubarb jam.
Somebody made us a rhubarb jam, but it was made with something called champagne rhubarb, which is a sweet rhubarb.
Champagne rhubarb. Okay, I got to write that down so I can find that out. We actually have rhubarb growing near our house, whether we want it or not. There's actually rhubarb plants behind my shed that just grow. I don't tend to them. I don't care for them, but they grow. So every summer, some of my wife's friends are very, very happy because they get free rhubarb. It's fresh.
Alternatively, pick them and sell them to your local grocer.
Yeah, I have to figure out how that would work. There's probably a market around here to do that. The other thing that we have growing like crazy around my house is mint.
Mm.
Ooh, that's useful.
Fresh mint.
Yeah. We it just grows. I have like 2 spots on either side of the patio out back, and it's just like weeds. It's just mint. That's all it is mint. So it grows, then I take it and we dry about a 3-foot by 5-foot screen of mint. Let it there and dry, and then crumble it up and use it for whatever.
Mint sauce with lamb, potatoes.
Yeah, mint sauce with lamb and potatoes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, I've got the cooking expert next to me, haven't I?
Yeah, it sounds like it. I know. I mean, after all the cookies she made the other day too, they're sweet looking cookies.
Is it the cookies?
Yes. Yep. Yep. I loved the little peas that she'd done with the headphones.
Right?
Yeah. Go on.
I was going to say, who did your artwork? Speaking of peas.
A friend of Gil's named Adam, but he's not giving me any details. Otherwise, I'd say the person's full name on the show and thank them, because I think he's done a spot-on job there.
Yeah, that was a great concept piece. That's just what I was wondering, if that was in-house or how that came about. But I thought that was cool. Peas in a pod. Pods like it.
Yep.
It's a fun spin.
It is. Because somebody actually said who's following Pods Like Us Instagram, they said, if you want us to, we can do you a quality graphic. It's just all these people who send you messages, isn't it? Or if you want promotion, do this, do that, do the other. And this person said, do you want a quality graphic? And I thought, I don't need to go to you because I've already got a quality graphic. Thank you very much.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's fun because it's not it's artistic, but it's not like overtly polished. That makes sense. It's like too clean. Yep. Like I think a lot of times my current one that I designed is almost too clean looking. So that's something that I'm also slowly working on, is other ideas for my logo. But I think that's not gonna happen until season 2 at the earliest. I already changed the color scheme once. Like I shouldn't do too much with this until I get into season 2.
Anyway, since this is Pods Like Us for Pods Like You, what have you learnt from your first season of doing podcast, and will you be making any changes for the second season accordingly?
Well, things that I've learned from the first season. I've learned that plugins, when you find the right ones, are absolutely amazing for helping out, getting everything done as far as the leveling goes. That's a huge part, is just getting all your levels proper, because I had a lot of leveling issues for whatever reason during the first season. So that the other thing is that I definitely want to get to the point where I have or I'm in at least 3 deep on conversations again. Have three in ready to go, and to be able to have a more consistent flow of guests on, being able to have that more consistent flow of regular interviews being done, I guess. Like I've got the stuff from Alone on the Couch. I've got a gentleman from a Rush tribute band called Spindrift that's going to be coming in as well soon. That's going to help out. What else? Yeah, really, those are the biggies. Just having all my other content already done. Right now, those are the biggest parts. It's just having more time in, getting more guests done in advance so I can work on them and keep that flow moving along. I also think one of the things that I've learned from season 1 as well is, like what we're doing right now, is taking a break.
Yeah.
Not, at first I'm like, I've got to put something out every single week. And I'm leaning more towards what they do with television, where you'll have about 10 to a dozen episodes, and then you might take a 2-week break and then do another 10 to a dozen. So rather than having a longer middle break, having some shorter segmented breaks. Because really, when you think about it, putting out 52 episodes of a podcast in a year, unless you're just doing live recordings and not editing anything whatsoever, that's ambitious. So I'm not a soap opera.
Yeah. So
I don't have.
I mean, yeah, that's sort of the reason why I'm taking a break in a way, and then I'm not sure when I come back what sort of schedule I'm going to keep, because it's a hard schedule trying to put 2 out per week.
Definitely.
For me. But really, even with the hours that I do, once the last episode of season 2 is out this Sunday, that will mean that I will have put out, since the beginning of October, 43 episodes.
Just in season 2?
No, in seasons 1, then we did the 3 Christmas episodes.
Oh,
and
okay.
Season 2.
That'll be a total.
Since October the 1st, so in less than, is that 6 months or thereabouts? In the period of around 6 months, I would have put out 43 episodes.
Right. Okay. Then I'm tracking right then. Okay.
So 16 in the first, 3 Christmas episodes as bonuses, and then it will have been 24 episodes for season 2.
Okay. So then season 3, when does season 3 pick up for you then? Or is that what you're deciding yet?
Possibly middle to, well, what I'm going to do is, so season 2 finishes this Sunday, which is, what date will that be? The 17th, is it 18th?
Yeah, it'll be the 18th.
18th. So a fortnight from there, I'll put out a bonus episode. And then another fortnight after that, I'll put another episode out that's a bonus group chat special. And I've got a few options available there.
Okay.
And then a fortnight after that, bring back for season 3. So there's still that steadiness of something coming out in the interim, but it's not full on for those. Well, it'll be 6 weeks, won't it, between seasons? Yeah. Ooh. But that allows me time to actually build on the 2, or, well, from Thursday, I've got a 3rd episode for season 3 to record with James Court from Court Case. And it gives me time to be able to build up then shows then as well in that period with people. And one thing I've really enjoyed doing this season, and I don't know if you've heard this one, Dave, is when I chatted with my friend Sam, who's not a podcaster but a listener, and I thought that's a nice switch. is to talk to listeners about what they're looking at and what they listen to and what their taste is.
Definitely. Yeah, and I saw the episode come up, but that is one still in the queue.
Lots of those.
I do not digest podcasts the way that you do, for certain.
No.
Hello, everybody. This is Ryan,
This is Avery.
and we are from the Frame by Frame King Crimson podcast, and you are listening to Pods Like Us.
The 6 weeks will give me time to be able to actually relax.
Definitely. Yeah, that's where I was just at with this, because I was doing this pretty hardcore, and I was doing it as a full-time occupation and still only doing one episode a week. But, all the work that I put into editing and creating was literally, I'd put in a 40-hour week for an episode.
Yeah.
When I first got started, and that's just to try and hit the production value that I felt I needed to. And that 40 hours a week also included all of the work I did on social media. So, now I'm over, I've been holding steady at about 1,700 followers, even though, I'll get some more and lose some others. But I've been staying steady there while I've been an interim, and I've not been pushing as much as I had. As typically, I've been putting out at least three outreaches on social media per day, and at least one video or one other longer type of outreach every week as well. And when I'm doing that, I gain 30 to 40 followers a week when I'm following that strict of a schedule. So, but it's an effort, and it's something you have to literally be able to put your time into. And with the podcast here, not generating money, being a labor of love right now, it is there's no residual coming in, so I have to make sure I'm taking time to keep my other skills up, so that when the right, better full-time opportunity comes by, or whatever, even a solid part-time, that I'm ready to do it.
Absolutely. And like you said, with the listening that I do, I mean, I'm probably listening to minimum of 48 hours worth of podcast per week, and that is a heck of a slog to listen to week in and week out, and to include with your working week and everything else you have to do in life. So
yeah, I mean, it sounds like you get a little bit of time on while you're doing some things to have that happen. For me, a lot of the things that I have to put my attention toward, I can't have a podcast play in the background and accomplish it.
Yeah. Like I've said on shows before, I listen to the podcast while I'm at work driving a vehicle around. So
there we go. And that's great.
Luckily, I've not got anybody at the side of me in the van, because otherwise it'd be a bit strange when I keep shouting out to Siri to take notes while I'm driving.
Right.
So I've got my iPhone there with me, and it's always plugged into the radio. So I've got CarPlay working in the van, and I will occasionally, if I hear something in one of the shows, I'll shout. I'm not going to shout it because he'll start up. And the wonders of AI. you say one word or one name, and suddenly your AI, your tablet will start up, or your television will switch on.
If I say my youngest daughter's name with the right inflection, it will invoke any Apple product around. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I have to be careful now, because I'll call for her, and then my phone will respond and say, "What can I help you with?" I'm like, "I don't want you right now. I'm talking to my daughter." So a question that you asked me way earlier that I am finally going to answer for you, so you can cut those together. You asked me, what podcasts do I regularly listen to?
Okay.
So besides the ubiquitous and obvious Pods Like Us and Mind Buzz, one that I've listened to that actually first was listening to before I started podcasting was Talk is Jericho with Chris Jericho, professional wrestler. Actually, I was listening to him not because he's a professional wrestler, but because he's the lead singer of a group called Fozzy. And I thought his latest album was just really, really well done. I'm like, well, this will be interesting. and he happened to be doing a show comparing old Christian metal albums that I knew. So I thought that'd be a lot of fun, like some of the groups I used to listen to back when I was first getting into bands.
Striper.
Yeah, Striper, Barren Cross,
Yep.
Holy Soldier, some of those that might not be as well known. There was the AC/DC ripoff band called X Sinner and all that. So other ones are We're the Weird Ones, The Deep Gripping Reality, Let's Find Out podcast, one called Between Us, which is just a really, really cool gal who's been texting back and forth, being very supportive of what I've done on Instagram.
Yep.
So I've been listening to Fatima's show called Between Us, and then Concerts That Made Us. And then there's this really weird one. I don't know, Xavier and Sully. No, Xander and Stone. I listen to one or two of theirs. That's one I haven't listened to as much, but that is one that I've enjoyed, has been the Xander and Stone show.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to start listening to a show called The Inner Monologue. I don't know if you've heard of them. They were on Gil's show, weren't they, recently? Because Gil did a funny one where he had all four hosts from the Inner Monologue as guests.
That's where that one is. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to start listening to their show because they sound like they were fun. And I've actually been asked by somebody from Germany to listen to their show, but my German is not as good as their show. Because it's fluent German, and I've said to them, I would if my German was better.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
No, I've gotten a few that because that have asked me that are Spanish, and I just not that good at it.
No bueno.
Say that again, Louise. Go on.
No bueno.
Right. No bueno. No good.
No good.
Muy malo. Very bad. Pito pequeño. Very little of little. Yes.
If this was going out on video, you would see my face asking, "What?"
Right? Totally fair.
You've already gone well out of my knowledge.
Yeah. I know enough to understand the gist, but not enough to get everything. So it makes it a little less fun. But yeah.
What language would you like to learn?
I would love to have a better grip on my Spanish, for sure. Spanish is definitely one. The other one, if I could really get it, would be Australian. No, I'm just kidding. Would be Mandarin. It would actually be real Chinese Mandarin. That would be one I'd love to learn.
I wonder if any of the cast from Firefly actually did learn and maintain that knowledge of Mandarin that they had to have for Firefly.
That's a great thing. Yeah. That is a great question. Who knows? But Mandarin is a business language. And I've got some friends who I worked with at a very different place that spoke Mandarin, and I'm like, what are you doing here if you know Mandarin? You should be working for a business where you can put that to use and actually get paid what you're worth. Because Mandarin is definitely a business language, especially in this day and age.
Absolutely.
Oh, there you go. Your chin disappeared for a moment.
It did. Louise's turn to answer.
Italian.
Italian. Yeah, so that's what I've got.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm just coming back off of spring break this week, so the wife and daughter have gone back to school. So is my autistic son, and my other two are at home right now while things are getting sorted with all the wonderful things that have been happening in the world. So got that going on, and just to figure out the right next steps to take to keep everything moving forward. It's always fun. That's also part of what definitely inspired the midweek break or mid-season break was because it was at a point where I didn't know how things were going to be happening. And it's like, I have to find something. Something is better than nothing. And then the something I found was worse than nothing. I'm like, well, I think I'll just sit still and keep looking for a bit.
The difference between me and you and Gil is that we have to really find time. We have trouble trying to find the time to actually put these shows together. Whereas Gil, I don't know how he does it, but last week he had the talk with me on the Wednesday, and then suddenly, when I woke up, I found that episode actually out already that next morning. Gil had put it out.
I think Gil sleeps while his kid's at school.
Probably. I think Gil stays awake all night to do these things, then takes his kid to school, and then sleeps, and then wakes up to pick his kid up. I think he must be doing that.
That's got to be what he's doing. That's what it. I mean, it's just with that kind of stuff. I mean, I totally think that's one of the only ways he could keep the kind of schedule he's doing. Which, with him being a little bit younger than me, I was there. I used to regularly work on 4 hours a night, and that was it.
Yep.
So I could run on that kind of a schedule for 3 months before I needed a day of really just taking it easy.
Either that or he's the real life embodiment of Michael Keaton in Multiplicity.
He was a vampire.
Yeah, he could be a vampire.
Gil the vampire.
Well, he lives in the right area, so Gil. What's the truth, Gil?
Does Gil like garlic?
Does Gil like garlic? Yes. That's the next time I'll ask him that next time I'll see him or talk to him.
And he'd be like, wait, what? What are you saying to me?
That's the perfect Gil impression right
I
there.
don't get that. What? What are you talking about, man?
Anyway, Dave, where can people find out more about Live Life Loud and get hold of you and listen to you?
Yes. Live Life Loud can be found by looking for Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast. You can find me at decibolic.com, which is my own hosted website currently with Wix. On there, you can find all the latest and greatest episodes of the show and even more information you want to. You can also sign up for Live Life Loud, the newsletter, the Louder Life News, to get inside scoops on what's happening when I don't accidentally delete all my content by hitting the back button during the creation of those newsletters. Otherwise, you can find me on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Instagram, and wherever better podcasts are freely streamed.
Yes, and you can find Pods Like Us on any streaming network. You look for us on Instagram and Facebook. And, well, just go on marvzone.org and look for, in the menu for the show, Pods Like Us, and you'll find extra details on each episode and behind-the-scenes stuff if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Yes, the Marv Zone.
The Marv Zone.
Awesome. Well,
anyway, thank you, Dave. This was fun and random.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. If nothing else, it was great just to be able to chat and say hey, since we had the time and the ability, Well, I look forward to seeing where, how, and when this all gets used, and I'm sure you will vice versa. And keep in touch and let you know what's going on. Thanks, as always, for letting me be a part of your life and a part of what the listeners get with Pods Like Us.
And thank you for Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast.
You got it, man.
I messed that up. The wonders of professionalism.
Yeah. Hey. Whatever.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us. It's Dave.
Hey, Marv.
Yeah.
This is good. I think so. Hi.
Nice axe behind you.
Thank you. My D'Angelico. One of my two D'Angelicos.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice find.
It was. Yep. Oh, he's showing off the other guitar at the side of it, whatever that one is.
Let's see. Yeah, my screen's a little covered. Oh yeah, down there. That's my Paul Reed Smith from '93. That's my number one. It's been with me for way too long. It's like the only. Yeah, I've had about maybe 30 other guitars come and go since then. Let's do auto. Is this set? Okay, that should be good. Near.
Your internet connection is unstable. Of course it is. We're using video, that's why. Yeah.
Needed. I could turn off if that helps.
Yeah, I just did this for the laugh. The the Beatles in the background.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, your arm keeps disappearing as
I know. Ooh.
right.
Need a blue screen at the back of me. That's what I need.
Yeah, that's why I put this up. It actually works pretty well. And when I set it right, oh, why not? Let's play with this for a second. Go preferences. Let's go background and filters. For beach. What? Oh, that's right. Good computer.
I wonder if anybody else is going to join us, because otherwise it'll be a strange show to record.